I am seriously over Adobe. I am so sick of it randomly crashing my system. One video goes without a hitch, and then I do the exact same thing in the next video and it crashes 10 times, and then it refuses to export. Even Lightroom is starting to crash on me now when I'm using the denoise function sometimes. So if I've got a bunch of shots that are night shots and I'm gonna need to denoise 20 of them, there's just no way Lightroom's gonna handle that. Or it's gonna take me like 3 hours to go in and individually do each one, let the system crash, reboot the whole thing, do the next one, etc, etc. And I'm also sick of paying like $100 a month, and after 3 or 4 years, that's close to like $4,000. And if I keep using the Adobe suite for like another 10 years, there's another 10 grand. So what am I replacing my Adobe programs with? What's the transition gonna look like between programs? And do I think that you guys should be replacing your Adobe as well? After using Adobe InDesign for years, for design work obviously, and then going into using Lightroom for photography and occasionally Photoshop, it made sense to just stick with the suite that I was using and move into Premiere Pro when I wanted to move into video editing. Not to mention the sheer amount of video tutorials that you can find for Premiere Pro online. But it's been problem after problem, and honestly it's mainly Premiere Pro. But I'm also really sick of paying thousands of dollars for a program that doesn't work properly, and a lot of you might be going, oh well, have you tried this fix or have you tried that fix? Yes, yes, and probably yes. I'm like 30% nerd and my other half is like 70% nerd, so between the two of us, we have tried a lot of options to get everything working properly and none of them have. And the truth is, we fix one problem and it seems to work fine for a while and then it starts crashing again. So that one solution hasn't really fixed anything and there's just no consistency to it. So look at it this way, let's say I started up a membership and I was going to charge you $100 a month to be part of my membership. But here's the thing, you've got problems logging in. You've got problem accessing the monthly trainings. Some months it works and other months it doesn't. And then when you try and download the downloads that I've made for you, sometimes it opens and it kind of depends on which version of Windows that you're using and maybe whether or not you're holding your tongue in the right direction. And on top of that, it's going to take you weeks to hear back from me to get everything hopefully working again properly, working with somebody in my team maybe. And in the meantime, you're still paying me $100 a month for a program that you can't access. I'm pretty sure you guys would get just as sick of it as I would, and you'll go and find another photographer that is cheaper and more consistent. Now, I'll be honest, this wasn't an easy decision to leave Adobe. I have found my groove and I am quite happy in there, especially because I'm still learning. So I'm like, okay, I've nailed the basics. Now I can start like moving up. So the idea of having to figure out whole new workflows is quite daunting. And the other thing is, it's not just one program I'm replacing. I'm going to be replacing all of the programs that I use within the Adobe suite. So honestly, I really put that off and I've been putting up with Adobe for a lot longer than I should have. And I kind of just figured that that was just what I was getting myself into because video editing is quite computer hungry. But the straw that broke the camel's back was last week when I was using Premiere doing the exact same thing that I've been doing the last couple of weeks. I found a flow that didn't seem to crash it, so I was like, right, I'm gonna stick with this. And then last week I ended up, it crashed like 10 times while I was trying to produce it, and then it crashed on me half a dozen times the night that I tried to export it while I was exporting it. And I thought, okay, maybe my computer's overheating, I'll leave it. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, right, I'm gonna leave it for now. I'm gonna break my computer. And when I come back in the morning, hopefully it'll work fine. So I turn it on in the morning, get it going, get to 60%, get to 80%, even hit 100%, and then that was it. Shut down my whole system, lost the whole project. I did try, admittedly, I did try another couple of times, and every time it just crash. And it's not just shutting the program down, it's actually crashing my whole computer. So after a little bit of ranting and raving and a few choice words aimed at Adobe and at my computer system, I decided to download DaVinci because I've heard a lot of other videographers talking about it on YouTube, and also I know my other half's used it in the past. So I went and checked it out, and there's a free version and a paid version. So I downloaded the free version. Thankfully, I was able to get, I think it's called an XML file out of Premiere. So all the work that I'd done already editing, all of that footage, I was able to transfer that straight into DaVinci, which made it a lot easier, though I did have to do things like replacing text and redoing audio and things like that. But ultimately, I was at least able to save the video that I had made. And you know what? I loved it. I absolutely loved the layout, the format. There's still tons for me to learn. Obviously, I've got to learn all the quick keys again and where everything is in this new platform, but it was so pretty. And it was so easy to use, and after watching a bunch of tutorials on it the last couple of days, I can easily see now where everything that I was looking for in Premiere is in DaVinci. And I found all these super cool other things that are just like overlays and transitions and things that I really wanted that I couldn't get in Premiere, or that I'd have to pay for to get into Premiere. But I found them all integrated as part of DaVinci. And now that I've done that and I've discovered this whole new world, I'm like itching to get into other programs that aren't Adobe. Now for a lot of people, there's some really solid programs in Adobe. So for instance, I'm not going to put down InDesign because I've never ever, I don't think anyway, not that I remember, I don't think I've ever had a problem with InDesign. If your workflow's going fine and you're getting what you need from the program, then that becomes more of a debate about whether or not you agree with Adobe and their policies. But I'm not going to suggest switching just for the hell of it. It definitely needs to be something that you think about. However, if you're just starting to get into YouTube or videography or photography, maybe check out some of the other programs we're suggesting instead of going straight to the Adobe suite. Another question to ask yourself is, are you using it because it's considered industry standard and you want to look professional? Like for example, I've kind of felt like I'm almost cheating when I use Canva instead of InDesign rather than just doing it from scratch, because I just don't have the time. And truthfully, I'm not a trained designer, so being able to use Canva's pre-made templates and things has made things so much easier and faster. And my clients still love the work I'm producing for them. They don't care if it's made in Canva or InDesign. In fact, a lot of them actually prefer that it's in Canva because then they have full access. When I share it with them, they've got full access to everything that I've created in case they want to go in and tweak something or make something else. So maybe ask yourself what you're actually using the program for and if you're actually overcomplicating it. Maybe there's a simpler program you could be using. And if you're looking for alternatives, there's actually a lot out there. And I know it'll kind of feel like, you want me to start over from scratch, but you're actually not, because once you understand the concept of what you're doing in any program, all you have to do is go online and Google, how do you do XYZ in this program? And you'll get the exact answer that you need. Like moving from Premiere to DaVinci, even though I don't know DaVinci super duper well, it was really easy because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So all I had to do was go, how do I cut in DaVinci? Or whatever it was that I needed to know. And then I was able to put together the rest of the video to get out last week in a day. Now don't get me wrong, it will take me a while to get used to all the new platforms, but I really think it's going to be worth it. Now I know which tools I want to be testing first, but with the exception of DaVinci and Canva, I haven't used them yet. So I'm not going to recommend any of them until I've fully run them through the paces of what I need as a mid-level photographer and a beginner YouTuber, because I'm no pro. I need something that's functional at this point in time, not something with a million different bells and whistles. I'm always going to try and get better with every single video and every single photo, but I'm by no means like some Hollywood level editor, though that would be super cool, but clearly I'm not. And this might sound really silly, but I actually feel freer just knowing that I don't have to keep a subscription to a suite of products that I don't even use. Probably 2/3 of the products that are in my package is really liberating. And by the way, it's actually more expensive if you do one at a time. Like I think Lightroom's the cheapest and it was about $19 a month, Australian I think. But then the other products were like $40 plus. So if I actually took all of the products that I am using, I'd probably be paying like $200 a month. So $100 a month to get all of them actually isn't like over the top, except that they're not working and I don't use most of them. And don't get me wrong, I'm quite happy to pay a reasonable price if I'm going to buy a product outright or if I'm going to join a subscription, for example. Like, I pay Epidemic Sound for all of the music that you hear on my YouTubes, and I wouldn't have a problem paying $12 a month for Canva because I use it almost every day. Both of which I might add, I can actually stop at any point in time that I want to, unlike Adobe that has me on an annual subscription. So if I want to get out of my contract, I'm going to have to pay the break contract fee. But it's also really insane to me that there isn't just a buy this product outright price. Like if I wanted to buy Premiere Pro 2024 and it was going to cost me $1,000, fine. If I want to pay that, that's not a problem, but then I own that. So if I don't want to upgrade for another 5 years because I don't need all the new bells and whistles, I've paid my money, I own this product, and there's no ongoing recurring payments. I upgrade when I'm ready to upgrade, not when Adobe tells me I should be ready to upgrade. And actually that's one of the reasons that I'm really attracted to DaVinci as well. Not only do they offer the most incredible program for free, but then if you want to upgrade to the studio, which allows you to do just a few more things like work in 4K and stuff like that, it's only $300. That's it, zip, $300. And they include all of the upgrades for free. So if I buy it now, I can upgrade every time that they release a new one for nothing. It's just part of that $300. It's a one-time payment, I own the product, and that's it. So what am I moving to or replacing my Adobe suite with? Let me tell you. Okay, so let's start with Lightroom because most of you guys are following me for my photography. So I'm going to be testing out Darktable first. Darktable is a free open source platform that allows you to edit raw photos and manage them, basically like Lightroom. So it's not one of the anybody can use it for their holiday JPEGs kind of program. It's a really serious, like, photographer's proper editing program. And I've seen some really excellent reviews and I'm really excited to get into it. And the funny thing is, everybody that I've seen so far is actually saying that it's better than Lightroom because it doesn't have the same restrictions that Lightroom does. Now Lightroom is great because the clever people that actually did design it well have put a lot of stuff into the background of the sliders so that it automatically will take you to the ends of what looks good, kind of. But apparently in Darktable, if you want to ruin your photo, you can push those sliders and move them around in all sorts of different ways, which actually gives you so much more control and freedom, which truthfully sounds a little bit daunting and a little bit exciting. At the moment, I have a few outstanding projects still in Lightroom, so I will be completing those in Lightroom, but as soon as I get Darktable installed, I'm going to be starting my new photography within Darktable. And the truth is, honestly, I'm kind of sad to be leaving Lightroom because that's where I've learned all of my photo editing, and I'm really comfortable there. But I feel like this new challenge will actually push me out of that comfort zone and make me a better photographer. And I'm not sure what program I'll be using to replace Photoshop. I never really used it a lot anyway. I used it a little bit for compositing. But if you guys have any suggestions, if you could pop them in the comments section, preferably if they're free or open source or cheap, that would be amazing, and let me know why you think I should try them. And just another reason to get away from Adobe, I have heard recently that Adobe have been using users' images to train their AI, which yes, apparently you can turn off, but the fact that it's set to enabled rather than disabled, which yes, you can turn off, but most people don't even know Adobe's doing this in the background. And if you've signed confidentiality agreements with clients, then technically this might be breaking them. So as much as I'm a fan of AI, and I do understand that the AI does have to be trained up, when I'm paying for a service in the platform, I feel that it's really rude. And let's just say they made an option that you could tag images that you were happy for their AI to learn from. I think that would be a whole nother conversation, but the fact that it's enabled and they snuck it in through one of their recent updates, I don't know about you, but I never check what they update. I'm like, I've got things to do, I've got photos to edit. And they had it on enabled instead of disabled. If they were actually thinking about the photographers on their platform, they would have had it disabled and they would have had a button coming up or something saying, would you like to nominate some of your photos to help train our AI to better serve you? Or something along those lines. And then you could go in and you could enable it. But the fact that they didn't do that really irks me. I've already been splitting my design work between InDesign and Canva, and truthfully I really only ever used Illustrator for its vector capabilities, and then I would cut and paste them back into InDesign anyway. So I'm not really worried about having an Illustrator replacement specifically because it was never a program that I used a lot. However, Canva can replace, I think, practically everything I was doing in InDesign. And I'm not doing high-level stuff on InDesign. Like when I first got into it, I was using it to help create newspapers because I worked for a newspaper. So that was how I got into it. But now I'm doing things like making social media posts and YouTube thumbnails and like free PDFs and things like that. So I don't need a whole bunch of high-level things that I'm not using. And it might sound dumb, but I kind of feel like I'm cheating when I'm using Canva because it is so much easier and because they have all these amazing templates that you can use. And I'm currently on the free plan, but I think if I'm going to be giving up Adobe and paying $100 a month, I think I can splurge $12 a month to get the Canva paid plan, which will allow me to do things like export PNGs with transparent backgrounds and stuff like that. Truthfully, I don't use After Effects very much. I really only used it because I needed it to run my intro and a few of the motion template graphics that I was using, but I wasn't really getting into After Effects very much. Mainly I was using Premiere Pro. But moving forward, I've downloaded DaVinci Resolve. Currently I have the free version, but I think eventually I will go up to the paid version because it's only $300. And if I'm not paying for the Adobe suite for the next 3 months, there's my payment for Resolve. But so far the free version has been amazing. I can do everything I need to for YouTube, I can do everything I need to for my clients. I'm not currently working in 4K or 120 frames per second at that, so there's only really a couple of things to upgrade to the studio version for, which there are a couple of little things that I would like to upgrade for, but right now the free version has more than enough for what I need to accomplish. And I don't want to weigh in on it just yet because I haven't used it a lot, but everything that I've been hearing online is it's brilliant. So I'm really looking forward to getting into it and learning it better. Now it did crash on me once last week, but instead of crashing my computer, it just shut down the program. And when I opened it back up, everything was still there. Like it had some weird autosave thing happening. If I did that in Premiere, not only would it shut down the whole computer, but I'd lose everything back to my last save. So I am super excited to get in and learn it. And I've found it's like 4.5 hours on YouTube. There's a whole tutorial from start to finish of how to use it. And I am halfway through watching that at the moment. And I've already figured out where most of the things are now that I was missing from Premiere. So I'm really excited to get into it actually. Now I'd really love it if you guys could please put in the comments any other programs that you think I should try, or any tutorials that you found that are like really excellent, or if there's any tips that you have for me using these new programs. And if you've been following me for any amount of time this year, you'll know that I asked the universe, God, all of it to give me a massive year this year, and it has not failed to deliver. So I need all the help I can get. And once I've tried out all of these platforms, I will make sure that I let you guys know what I think of them and any tips or tricks that I learn along the way. As always, if you've gotten this far, the like and subscribe buttons are an excellent way to let YouTube know that this is a halfway decent video and that maybe it could share it out to a few more people. So that would be appreciated if you could. And as always, if you need to know things first, the notification bell is for you, and I'll see you guys in the comments.